So I've been thinking a little bit lately about criticism and being self-critical, and how kids tend to be very loose and a kind of innocent confidence in what they do when they color or play with toys. And then somewhere along the way through like grade school and being brought up, being criticized of their work enough times, they start to lose that innocent confidence in what they do and start conforming to they start trying to please other people with their work. It's really not a self-satisfying existence to constantly try and please other people's perceptions of good. So I was trying to figure out whether or not criticism, if it's more beneficial to a person's craft to be criticized, or how much criticism is good, and at what point does it become a hindrance? At what point does it keep a person from truly doing what they can to their best potential? And I was thinking of different instances of people, like I was reading about Van Gogh when Gogh and him were living in the iconic yellow house. How Gauguin was always telling Vincent to paint from his imagination, and he was constantly criticizing Vincent's style of how he looked directly at nature and then tried to put his own emotion into it. Gauguin felt in order for something to be truly pure, it can't be cluttered with any type of civilization. It has to come purely from your mind and your heart. And if Vincent would have listened to that criticism, his style would have been much different. The period that he was in the yellow house is often considered his best period artistically, or that's when he reached his peak, and then he stayed really good until he died. But I was just wondering, like, it might have been better art in Gauguin's mind if Vincent did what he did, if Vincent listened to the advice. But that's the point, is sensibilities change, but what you do doesn't. Like, say you hear a song on the radio and you really like it, but then, say 100 years from now, that same song is considered one of the worst by the culture of people living in the time 100 years from now. The song itself doesn't sound any different. It's still the exact same song, it's the same idea. But the brains that foster these opinions of good and bad only live a few decades, and then they're gone, and the opinions are gone. But the work stays. So this is kind of my point, is you shouldn't care about whether or not you think what you're doing is good or bad. You should just do it, and do a lot of it, and eventually you'll get better. Even if people think you just went from bad to a little bit less bad, people 100 years from now, like in Vincent's case, might think you went from okay to one of the best ever. And even that doesn't matter, because the work itself is still going to be exactly the same, regardless of what anyone thinks of it. Now, this is where the tricky part came in when I was thinking about, is criticism good or is it a hindrance? I think it is necessary for pushing a person's growth that they are self-critical, as long as they don't lose the innocent kid confidence. And I was thinking of a metaphor of an archer or a hunter trying to shoot a deer with a bow and arrow, and the arrow represents the work, what he's trying to accomplish. He's trying to kill the deer to eat it, and the amount that he pulls back is the criticism. It's himself being critical of his strength, how strong he is. So say he's not very critical, he thinks he's pretty good, he's only going to pull back a little bit. Well, he's going to get surprised when he lets go that he really doesn't go that far at all, and he doesn't meet his expectations of how good he really thought he was. But say he's pretty self-critical, or self-critical enough that he can shoot the deer. He pulls as far as he should, he takes good aim, lets go, and he reaches his goal because he was self-critical, but he still had the right amount of confidence to not give up and just not pull anything. And then the third example is when he's too self-critical, in combination with all of his friends yelling at him, being critical as well, and his confidence has just completely lost it, and he pulls back further and further and further because he doesn't think he's ever going to be good enough, and eventually he never even tries to get the goal because he's pulled so far that the string snaps. He's lost it. He's dead. He doesn't get any food. He doesn't accomplish anything. He's been overstretched. And that's where I see criticism just killing a lot of people's confidence, and they don't try to do anything with their lives as far as, things that they used to enjoy when they were kids. They just kind of get depressed. And then there's another time when people are too confident and they try and kill so many birds with one stone, and eventually you don't get anything done. So I think as far as criticism goes, it's a personal. Each person has a personal scale, a weight scale, and some people need a little bit more criticism, and other people do fine with a little bit less.